Right now, it's October, almost Halloween, at time of recording anyway. So get yourself some pumpkin soup, light some black candles, put on a pointy hat and a wig or something, I don't know, doesn't matter. And please allow me to share with you my thoughts, my personal experience with what I consider to be the pinnacle of horror. It's Saturday the 31st of October 1992. That's Halloween. The BBC have been promoting Ghostwatch for a couple of weeks. Tune in on Saturday night where we will broadcast live from a real haunted house, that kind of thing. It was sold to the public as a real live show. Hang on, I need to explain this properly because context is so important. It's vital to the amount of pant shitting that will occur. At the time, Michael Parkinson was probably the best known interviewer on British television. A serious broadcaster and radio show host, a trusted national treasure. He was the anchor for Ghostwatch, thus giving the show a degree of authenticity. A subliminal seed was planted. The co-presenters were Sarah Green, a popular kids TV presenter, and her husband Mike Smith, also a TV presenter with a similar reputation, and Craig Charles, who played Lister in Red Dwarf. The point is, these were respected TV personalities presenting prime time television Saturday night on the BBC in 1992, not some obscure shitty channel. This was the real deal. The idea is that Sarah Green, Craig Charles and a BBC technical crew are going to stake out this house in North London. Normal, average suburbia where a woman and her two daughters claim that their lives have been terrorised by the presence of a poltergeist. Back in the studio, Michael Parkinson holds the whole show together while interviewing experts, and Mike Smith is in charge of the whole live phone-in part of the show. Call us on this number if you've ever seen a ghost. That kind of bollocks. And it's a real BBC phone number which is usually used for Going Live, which was the Saturday morning kids TV show that Sarah Green presented. More on that in a minute. But it's all fake. It's 100% fake. It's pre-recorded. It's scripted. It's performed, directed and edited. It even has the usual documentary or drama credits at the beginning and at the end of the show, but clearly that wasn't enough of a signpost that this wasn't actually real. I will admit that rewatching this a couple of days ago, I could quite easily detect the wooden performances, that it wasn't actually real, but then hindsight does destroy much of the illusion. But that can really only be said about some of the actors, the mum and the daughters in the house, not the presenters, because the presenters are just doing what they always do on TV. Don't forget, this was 1992. This is way before the trend of subversive TV or anything mock or fake was a big thing. And this was the BBC. They made normal TV shows, not fucked up switcheroos. But the vibe, which is a genius part of the setup, is that none of the presenters believe in the supernatural and they don't think they're actually going to detect anything with their fancy camera equipment. Parkinson seems like he's on autopilot, just another day at the office. He's engaged, he's professional, but you can tell that he's not really that invested. Mike and Sarah are exactly the same as they are on other TV shows, at first anyway, and Craig Charles is a bit of an annoying twat, making silly ghost noises and injecting a bit of banter to the whole thing. Even when they stage a jump scare near the beginning of the show, I think the audience understands that this is the BBC and they're just doing this vanilla middle of the road stuff for the masses. However, there's always something uncomfortable about the show because we are in a real house and what we believe are real people who believe that they are really being visited by a poltergeist and this house is really haunted. Back in the studio, Mike says he has a live caller on the line who wants to say something. Hello, Emma from Slough. What did you want to share with us tonight? Hello, yeah, I was actually watching your programme, the bit at the beginning with the two girls in their bedroom, and I could have sworn I saw a figure, a person, just standing there in the corner, in the dark, staring at the girls. Shit, seriously, I'm getting turkey bumps just thinking about it. This is me, Moid, talking now. Not Emma from Slough. I was there, man. I was watching this show live as it was happening. It's not that I believe Emma from Slough. It's not that I think the BBC actually caught a ghost on camera, but I did shit myself. Just a little bit. Anyway, it's perfect. We're only 10 minutes in, and you bet I'm checking those dark corners now. This has turned from a fairly silly TV show to something quite unsettling. More callers are claiming that they saw something in the shadows, so they roll the tape back and have a look in the studio. It's alright, it's just a trick of the light, it's just a shadow. Of course, people are going to think they saw a ghost if you build up a show like this. The twist is, there really was a person standing in the shadows, staring at those girls in the original footage, but not on the tape that was played back later. So the calls are fake, but the claims are actually real. Can you imagine watching this live and seeing a ghost and then hearing what you believe are real members of the public call in and confirm that, but then it's not there when they replay the footage? That's clever. That's deliciously wicked. I love it. And that's just the start of it. Throughout the entire broadcast, there are more strategically placed figures and faces in reflections and dark corners of the house. You've all seen The Haunting of Hill House or Hereditary, right? It's a very similar trick. People hiding in the background of the frame. That really gets to me. It does. And here it is, presented as real life. So this continues. More real, fake people call in with their ghost stories. The expert in the studio shares this really creepy footage of apparently real life hauntings and possessions. It's very effective. Greetings from the future. These videos take a lot of time and effort and a little bit of money to make. Money which we don't have. You can watch all of our videos for free on YouTube, or if you would like to support the channel, you can use Buy Me a Coffee, which is an online tipping service. Get yourself a t-shirt or a mug or some socks at the merch store. But best of all, we have a Patreon. You'll gain access to our exclusive Discord, home of the world's greatest read-alongs, the podcast Radio Death Cult, and of course, you can tell your friends and family that you've joined a death cult. Links in the description and on our YouTube homepage. Thank you so much. About halfway through, Ghostwatch feels like it's running out of steam. On purpose, of course. Parkinson is clearly bored and not very impressed. This so-called expert brings out a box of broken plates and photographs of a floating pillow or something, apparently proof of a poltergeist. But pay attention and there is something proper dark and twisted going on, something that my teenage brain didn't quite pick up on back in 1992. Sarah Green is sporadically interviewing the mum and the two daughters. The dad is nowhere to be seen. The parents divorced a few years back. It turns out that the dad was an amateur photographer and he used to develop his own camera film in that little room under the stairs. The family used to call it the glory hole. It's not funny. It's also revealed that the oldest daughter, Suzanne, kept getting these mysterious scratch marks all over her body. And on camera, in her words, I would wake up in the middle of the night and it would feel like someone was all over me. And then the expert in the studio says, oh yeah, this is very typical poltergeist behaviour. It's quite common for one to abuse teenage girls approaching puberty. God damn it, that is all sorts of dark all of a sudden. Let me just spell it out. Was the father, do I need to say it out loud? Was the father developing his secret photographs in his private glory hole under the stairs? This is elevated horror. This is some Laura Palmer shit. Back in the real world, and by that I mean the real world that this was a television show on that Saturday night back in 1992, hundreds and hundreds of people were calling that real hotline with their ghost stories, and because they thought they saw someone hiding in the shadows, which they really did. There were only 5 active phone lines open that night. Not the actors playing the telephone people in the studio that night. Remember, this is fake, this is pre-recorded, but there were real phone lines which was supposed to play a recorded message telling you that it was all just a big hoax. And then you would have got through to a real person who would have taken your account of your ghost story, which would probably have been used for a future episode of Ghostwatch, which never got made. However, so many people called in that the lines were jammed instantly and hardly anyone heard that message, and they were left wondering what the fuck was happening. The broadcast continues to get darker and a bit awkward, which, looking back now, was a very bold move by the BBC. There's a short interview with a guy who has a visitation story. Something not quite right with his house. It even has his face pixeled out. He tells of a time when he and his wife kept finding what looked like little blobs of saliva all over the house, on the doorstep, on his shoe, on a piece of mackerel that they were just about to have for their dinner. And then they find poo smeared on the wall. Now, from memory, back in 1992, I was shouting at the TV screen to get back to the haunted house. I don't care about this guy and his dollops of spit. Therefore, I didn't let the situation sink in. One where either this guy or his wife are spitting or jizzing all over the house to freak the other one out, or they're involved in some weird sex thing that has escalated to smearing shit all over the cupboards. May I remind you that this is prime time British entertainment aimed at kids, probably. Back at the house, Craig Charles is talking to a couple of neighbours outside. So, tell us about this spooky playground. So they walk around the corner to the playground. Wow, yeah, last year some children found a dead black Labrador down there by the swings. That's horrible. Do you know how it died? It was sliced open like a butchered pig, and it was pregnant. So they were dead dog fetuses all over the place. Holy shit, I'm telling you, even if you don't buy the dodgy acting or you don't quite get it because you weren't there at the time, you can't deny how sinister this stuff is. Child abuse, glory holes, sex, poo, fetishes probably, animal splanchophilia, look it up. This is so metal. On the live feed from the house, the poltergeist starts banging on the floor and the radiators. Oh my god, we're actually catching real paranormal activity on camera. This is amazing. But it turns out it was just the older daughter, Suzanne, all along. Busted. Michael Parkinson back in the studio. Well, that's quite extraordinary. We set out to catch a ghost, but sadly, very sadly, what we've witnessed is the remarkable exposure of a hoax. Rather than just abandoning the feed from the house altogether, the camera gets right in the girl's face. Sarah Green asking, live to the nation, did you fake everything? Why did you lie? What's going on? Answer the question, Suzanne. Now totally traumatised, she said that she made the whole thing up so that her mum would never leave her. She's fucked up. The last 20 minutes of Ghostwatch gets very, well, it's fake controlled chaos. There's the classic presenter holding their earpiece, members of the production team getting in the shot when they shouldn't be, and playback tapes getting stuck. The idea was that Ghostwatch would just keep escalating into this very, very dramatic ending. Suzanne gets more scratches on her face, and now we can hear the poltergeist banging away when everyone's accounted for. The neighbourhood cats start a chorus of screeches. It is silly, and it is a bit obvious now, but it does keep that fucked up edge, and the double bluff was very effective. The audience were always a massive part of this experience. The fake callers are reporting more strange things in the background, and if you were watching closely, you either saw them yourself or you were convinced you saw them because of the fake callers. You would have started watching Ghostwatch and thinking it was some hammy BBC investigation type thing, then it was car crash TV, and then it got real again. Someone calls in and claims that an old lady used to live in a house that was demolished years and years ago on the site where this modern haunted house is now built. This old lady was a childminder who used to kill the children. She would drown babies in the bath. Child abuse, glory hole, dead dog fetuses, smearing poo, drowning babies. We've got time for one more caller before the end of the show. Hello, I have important information about the house. Back in the 1960s, the couple that owned the house subletted a room to a psychopath. He thought he had a woman trapped inside his body that made him do disgusting things and have evil thoughts. So he committed suicide. He garroted himself under the stairs and his body wasn't discovered for 12 days. And by then, the cats had eaten his eyeballs. Child abuse, glory holes, smearing poo, dead dog fetuses, drowning babies, transvestite psychopaths with cats eating their eyes. Back in the house, the ghost has kicked off. It's got into the machinery. It's manipulating the cameras. What's happening? It's travelled through the wires and now it's possessing the studio. Sarah Green follows the sound of screaming babies to the void under the stairs and gets sucked into the glory hole. Just like your mum. Ghostwatch ends with Michael Parkinson falling into a mumbling trance, quoting nursery rhymes to the sound of wailing cats. Amazing stuff, but that is far from the end of the story. Ghostwatch has a legacy, a stigma even, like nothing else. Complaints and calls of genuine concern came flooding in. The purpose of Ghostwatch was to give the public a good fright on Halloween. But be careful what you wish for. This was a perfect storm for pant shitting. For a start, the show began at 9:25 PM, and as it happens, at the time, I think there are only 4 channels in Great Britain. Other TV shows on other channels finished at 9:30, so pretty much everybody missed the first 5 minutes. That's the bit where they heavily hint that this is actually a drama. It's Halloween on a Saturday night, so children up and down the country are allowed to stay up late to watch kids' TV presenters hunt for ghosts. This will be some wholesome, spooky fun, children. Gather round. People were so traumatised by that second act, they didn't hang around for the end of the show. As far as they're concerned, poor Suzanne was getting diddled by her dad, and her mum found out on live TV. And this was 1992. You couldn't check on your phone to see what just happened. The BBC did issue an apology and an explanation, but it was far too little, far too late. You've already thoroughly disturbed the entire country. Apparently, 3 women went into labour through sheer shock, reports of ghost sightings went through the roof, and tragically, one troubled young man killed himself. His parents filed a complaint with the Broadcasting Standards Commission, who, after an investigation, concluded that Ghostwatch made a deliberate attempt to cultivate menace. The ambiguity of the content meant that parents were not informed enough to make a judgment and shield their children. Ghostwatch was never, ever aired on the BBC again. This is time capsule TV at its very finest. It's a bit like watching big sporting events or really important news flashes. You can re-watch them and get the nostalgia, you get the general idea, but it pales in comparison to witnessing it at the time. But I guarantee you'll be disturbed at that sinister, not so subtle subtext of what's really going on in that house. And there you have it, a once in a lifetime meta menace that hit children right in the dog fetus.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.